Good Thursday morning, everyone. How's it going? Gonna do a slightly different kind of video today. I usually don't do videos like this, but hey, we're not making the playoffs, so we can do things a little bit differently, I guess. So before I get into the content of this video, collabing on the Hawks Nest channel with Brandon later today, 3 o'clock, so about 6 hours from the time of this upload. Go check him out. Go sub him if you haven't already. Or at the very least, stick around so you can watch us collab. We talk about Seahawks for an hour, maybe a little bit more. It's always a good time. We always have fun. We always say interesting things. We collab every 2 weeks on his channel, and then on the week where we don't collab on his, we collab on mine. Go check it out. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about something that doesn't really have that much to do with this team and what they're doing and what they're going to do, which is usually how I keep things on this channel. I don't really like to talk about the Seahawks fan base that much because I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I don't want to tell people how to be a fan. That's not how this stuff is supposed to work. At the end of the day, there are many different ways for a person to be a fan of a team. I get that. There are a lot of different perspectives people are going to have on what the team should do, what the team is doing, and that's all cool, obviously, but I've noticed something that within parts of my viewers, a subsection of my viewers, that I want to explore a little bit here. I usually don't reply to comments. I don't reply to 99% of my comments because I just don't have the time. I get a lot of comments. It would take me all day to reply to all of them, especially if I got into actual discussions with some of them. So 99% of my comments I don't respond to, but you can kind of look at this video as me grouping a big collection of comments I've gotten in stream and on videos and putting them all in a big stew and kind of serving up a general response. So we're going to talk a little bit about Russell Wilson in this video, but this honestly could apply to other things as well. It's not just Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is probably the chief example of what I'm talking about here. But you could apply this to a player like a Bobby Wagner, I think, as well, and it would apply just as much. But what I'm really going to try to get to here is, as fans of this team, we of course root for the players on this team. Obviously, duh. But at a certain point, I think you can get so caught up in that you take it too far and you forget that at the end of the day, you're actually supposed to be a fan of the team. So I see a lot of different perspectives in my comments, especially lately. Things have gotten, I don't want to call it vicious, but things have gotten a little more intense lately because this season went bad. Things are going to change this offseason. It could be a lot of things. It could be a couple of things. It could be big things or small things or red things or blue things or whatever. But things are going to change and people have different takes on what it should be that changes. So I really want to zero in on the Russell Wilson part of this for the moment. There are other angles to look at this from as well, but the Wilson thing, I think it becomes the most pronounced because it has become like politics almost, where you have the people who don't believe in Wilson and the people who still believe in Wilson. And in previous years, we were winning more than we were losing, so it was more like just a general debate. But now that we're losing, it's turning kind of vicious. It's getting a little more mean-spirited, a little more heated, whatever. So I see a lot of different angles from the Wilson thing. And just to talk about the angles that people come at this from, there are basically four. You have the people who look at the season that Wilson is having, which is by his standards not a very good year. He's 4-8, first of all. He's not winning games. Completion percentage is down. His yards are down. Touchdowns are down. It's not all bad. He hasn't played terrible. His QB rating is still up close to 100, but he's playing very, very mediocre football for most of this year, I think. I think we can safely say that he's not living up to expectations. And there are a bunch of different ways people react to that. There are the people who look at that and they go, "Oh, he's done. I want him out. He's washed up. I don't believe in him anymore. Let's trade him while we can still get value for him." There are people who kind of say, I don't know, right? Like, I know this season is bad, but I don't know if it actually means he is now bad. I don't know if this is who he is. I don't know. I can go either way, but I can't say with 100% certainty that he's washed, but I have very little confidence that he's going to return to what he was. Then you have the people who say, yeah, okay, this season was bad, but this season is not him, right? This season is not reflective of who he is. This season, just stuff rolls downhill, right? I think he's better than this. I think if we bring him back next year, he will be better. A lot of funky things happened. He got hurt, new offense, offensive line had regressed a little bit. Yeah, okay. I think all these positions are totally fine. And then you have the people who completely blow it all off and still think Wilson is amazing and Wilson's doing everything fine and he's perfect and that everything that went wrong this year is someone else's fault. Pete, Waldron, somehow Schottenheimer, Schneider, Jody Allen, a cheerleader, whatever. Okay, so you have all these points of view coming together about Russell Wilson and trying to debate it, argue over it, fight about it, get to the bottom of what it really is. And I think all of those four positions are pretty defensible. You can use some facts and some data and some stats to try to back it up. I think the people who refuse to put any of the blame on Wilson are ignoring a lot of obvious issues. But I'm not even really here to talk about that. How should I put this? I want to make sure I get this right. I really want to make sure I say this right so you guys understand. Because what I am not saying in this video, I want to be very clear about this. This is important. I am not saying that if you like Russell Wilson, you're not a real Seahawks fan. I don't think that. I don't believe that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying that if you want to keep Russell Wilson next year, you're not a real Seahawks fan. I don't believe that. I'm not saying that if you still believe Wilson is going to be good in the future, you're not a Seahawks fan. I think all those things are pretty defensible. And even if I didn't, I wouldn't assume that you're not a Seahawks fan because of it. But I'll give an example. This is extreme example, but it is something I have genuinely seen from a few people in recent times. Because Wilson, bottom line, is not producing very well this season. His touchdowns are way down. He's not winning games. He's not getting it done at the end of close games. When he has opportunities to go win or tie the game at the end, it's just not working. So some of the people who really defend Wilson, they can't handle criticism of him. They don't like it. They try to put everything on other people. What they have started to say, and I kind of made fun of this in my last, in my Wilson video I made last week, is that he is intentionally throwing games to either get Carroll fired or to force a trade. He is doing Vince Carter. And obviously I think that idea is silly, but I also understand that a lot of people who are saying it are probably just using hyperbole, and they are actually pointing out something that might be happening. It's at least believable. The idea that Russell Wilson is checked out on Pete Carroll and he is subconsciously not performing as good as he could because he doesn't like his coach anymore. He wants a new one, or maybe he wants a new team, and he has on some level just decided, I'm just going to go through the motions here. Like, I'm not going to be the guy anymore. I'm just going to kind of waddle through this season in a daze, but I'm not really invested in this team because I don't like this coach. I guess that's believable. I would argue that if that were the case, he would not have rushed back from a finger injury that was supposed to sideline him for 6 games, and then he came back after 3. I think that if he were checked out, he probably would have just milked that injury to avoid getting on the field at all. But whether or not I believe that that is true, that's not what kind of really put my radar up when I saw people saying this. What kind of stuck with me from Seahawks fans saying that is, if you think that's the case, if you think that a quarterback who is making $35 million this year, the highest paid player on this team by far, making more money than the next two highest paid players on this team combined, is intentionally or subconsciously not giving his all to help the team win and help the team perform at a high level, then why do you support that? Why are you okay with that? Why do you not look at that and go, wow, what a prick. I hate this guy. I hate this guy more than Jeremy Stevens, Corin Robinson, Aaron Curry, Brian Bosworth, Rick Meyer. I hate this guy more than any player that has ever played for the Seahawks, because he is getting paid over $2 million per game, and he's going out there and not playing as good as he could be playing because of some personal issue he has with the guy above him. That's the part that really confuses me. If you actually believe that Wilson is intentionally or subconsciously playing lackluster football and not helping his team win and being part of the problem in a lot of these losses, then why are you not mad at him? You should be madder at him than I am. You should be madder at him than anybody in the world. Look, I will work for the next decade. I will work at my job for the next decade. I will not make as much money as Wilson makes in a single game check. All right? And for a lot of you guys who are watching this video, probably something similar. Probably about the same. So sometimes I don't totally agree with what's going on at my job. Sometimes I'm not 100% in love with the people above me. But I'm still getting paid. They're still paying me. I'm still going to do the job that they're asking me to do. I'm not going to start underperforming just because at the end of the day, I'm getting paid to do a job, and I'm going to do that job because I'm a professional. So why wouldn't the same apply to Russell Wilson? I want to reiterate that I don't think Wilson is dogging it because he doesn't like Carroll or because he wants out of Seattle. I think that that's it just flies in the face of some of the evidence that we have. I don't think Wilson would have done what he did with his rehab if he was genuinely just like, I'm done. I'm not interested. Just let me out. If Wilson actually believed that, I think he would probably still be on the sideline playing up the finger injury. But I see some of these fans who are like, I think this is what is going on here. And they basically say, yeah, I don't blame him. What do you mean you don't blame him? What do you mean? He's the franchise quarterback. We pay him a ton of money. I know it's not our money, but the team pays him a lot of money, and we are supposed to be fans of the team, right? So I don't get it. And it's not just that one sentiment. I see similar sentiments from some of these Seahawks fans sometimes. They say things like, well, okay, you have the people who say things like, if we trade Russell Wilson, I will no longer be a Seahawks fan. Those people are admitting it, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. They're admitting they're not really a Seahawks fan. They're just a Wilson fan. They're just here because Wilson's here. So if we trade Wilson, they're probably going to follow Wilson and become a fan of whatever team he goes to. So they're not really Seahawks fans. They're telling on themselves, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that, right? But those people, put them to the side for a second here. I'm talking about the people who say things like, this team doesn't deserve Russell Wilson. We pay him a lot of money, don't we? This team pays him a lot. And I understand things are not perfect, okay? I understand that we've made a lot of mistakes in trying to support Wilson on this roster. The offensive line building has not gone great. It has regressed this year, but over the last few years, it has not been nearly as bad as some people want you to believe that it is. We know that Wilson makes offensive lines look worse than they are because of his play style. And the truth of the matter is, the last time the Seahawks had a truly atrocious offensive line, it was under Tom Cable in 2017. So, yeah, there have been mistakes made, but I think some of these mistakes get drastically over-exaggerated for hyperbolic effect, I guess I should say. We did give him Tyler Lockett. We gave Tyler Lockett a fat extension this last offseason. That's his boy. Brought in Gerald Everett. He's a good tight end. Got him DK Metcalf. Very super hyper talented receiver. Got him Dwayne Brown in a trade. He's protected his blind side at a roughly all-pro level for most of the last 4 years. Yeah, he fell off a cliff this year, but it happens. So just because things aren't perfect, does that give Russell Wilson, in your mind, permission to stop giving his all? Forget giving his all. Does Russell Wilson not having a full team of all pros everywhere around him on offense, does that give him permission to make bad mistakes, make bad reads, throw it into double coverage, refuse to take his checkdowns, do all these things that we talk about all the time that Wilson is doing? So just because he doesn't have a full slate of all pros on his offensive line, like that excuses the mistakes? No. Russell Wilson makes $35 million a year. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, okay, it's not going to be smooth sailing everywhere around you. We are going to have to cheap out here and there sometimes. I don't make a big deal about how much money Wilson makes most of the time because that's his right. And quite frankly, we don't do a great job spending the money that we have. I don't have any reason to believe that we would do a great job with the money he would give us if he took less money. But his salary is part of the reason why we go with the Brandon Shells instead of the Lane Johnsons of the world. It is part of the reason why we go for the Ethan Posicks instead of the Jason Kelce's of the world. It's not the whole reason, but he does have something to do with that. I see some Seahawks fans saying this fan base doesn't deserve Russell Wilson. A pretty big chunk of this fan base lionizes and deifies Russell Wilson, probably more than he deserves given what he's accomplished. 0 MVP votes, 1 Super Bowl championship with one of the greatest defenses ever. Some parts of this fan base treat him like he's Tom Brady in New England or Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Quarterbacks that have won multiple MVPs, and in Brady's case has won 6 Super Bowls. So I think this fan base deserves him just fine. Maybe they even deserve better than him, given how they treat a guy like Wilson, who has done great things, but hasn't accomplished the things that guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers have. So I feel like what I'm really trying to get at here in this video is this offseason, we know it's possible Wilson will be leaving, one way or the other, because the early indications from the organization is that Carroll's not leaving, Schneider's not leaving, and we also know that Jody Allen said that she was not happy with this team and changes would be coming. The only big change left, if you keep Pete and John, is trading Russ. And I understand that in some ways we haven't exactly done an amazing job building around Wilson, but none of that changes the fact that whatever your perspective on this whole thing is, we should all be Seahawks fans, and we should all be coming from the perspective of being a fan of the team, wanting what is best for the team. So come up for air every once in a while, and remember that even if you love Russell Wilson, part of being a Seahawks fan is deciding that the team is bigger than any one player. I tried to explore this the best that I could. I usually don't do videos like this, obviously. It's kind of a weird thing to talk about, but I wanted to go into some depth on this because I just see some of the defenses that people use for Wilson, and I think to myself, how is that even a defense? How are you defending Wilson by saying that he's intentionally losing games to get Carroll fired? Like, if I were to suddenly start intentionally doing bad things at my work because I wanted to get somebody fired, I don't think anybody would be doing that to defend me. They would be claiming that to defend me. They would be claiming that to try to run me out. They would be claiming that to try to get me to go away, to get everyone else to hate me. So this is what I'm talking about, really, when I'm talking about how at a certain point, you need to decide if you're going to be a Seahawks fan or a Russell Wilson fan. How you choose to be a Seahawks fan, like, we're all going to come at things from different perspectives, do things different ways. Some people are going to like this player more than that player, and other people are going to like that player more than this other player. But if you're going to get to the point where a player or players are bigger than your commitment to the team, then, hey, it's a free country. But just understand that at a certain point, your priorities, what you want, are not what actual fans of the team should want. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm going to get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Whose side are you on?